Welcome to The Growth Shift, the podcast where we unlock the psychological and strategic blueprints of predictable growth. If you've built a successful business, you know the truth. Your expertise is high value, but your time is finite. The question is, how do you sustain that success without sacrificing your most valuable asset? We believe that the next level of success requires a strategic pivot, a fundamental shift that moves beyond the old ways. In every episode, we dive into the critical turning points of industry leaders and uncover how they're leveraging AI not as a shortcut, but as the strategic force for their next growth shift. Today, we dive in with a leader who is defining the future of their industry. This episode is brought to you by Valentix, your strategic growth partner. At Valentix, we believe that trust and authentic relationships are the only true currency in high-value business. We challenge the status quo by building an AI-powered client acquisition system that enhances your human connection, helping you move beyond the slow growth of referrals. Our AI-powered systems eliminate the grind, allowing you to break through the noise, automate tasks, and free up time to focus on transformative client impact. If you're ready to build a predictable growth engine, learn more at valentix.io. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today on The Growth Shift, we're joined by Michael Glazer, the founder of Premier Service. Michael's career is a masterclass in operational auditing and entrepreneurial expansion, rooted in his early days as a store detective and pioneering the concept of mystery shopping in 1991. From growing his business from Montreal to opening an office in Tennessee, Michael now leads Premier Service, helping retail, restaurant, and automotive clients ensure policy meets implementation through merchandising, audits, and mystery shopping. His insights into operational excellence, strategic growth, and the critical importance of slow is smooth, smooth is fast offer a powerful blueprint for entrepreneurs navigating expansion. Michael, welcome to The Growth Shift.
Thanks very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Excited to have you on the show today. You have a very interesting story and one that not many people are in, let's say, when we look at industry itself. Michael, your journey began at age 18, right, as a store detective, which sparked this idea for mystery shopping early in the 90s. Tell us a little bit more about that foundational journey, what a store detective was, and how it really led to what it is you're doing now.
Well, that's really how it all started, actually. One of my first jobs when I turned 18 was going around in pharmacies and department stores, catching shoplifters. You know, dream job for an 18-year-old guy. I mean, got a badge, handcuffs. What more could you want, you know? So one of the services that happened to be offered with that agency was what was called honesty shopping. And that entailed not so much catching shoplifters, but, you know, walking up to the till, walking up to the cash, putting down $1, taking a newspaper. And then later at the end of the shift, we would check to see if the cashier properly entered that sale or pocketed the money. That was called honesty shopping 30, 40 years ago. When I saw that and continued my education at McGill as a business school student, we had to come up with a business plan. And I'm like, okay, business plan, you know, what could we do? And I thought, you know what? This honesty shopping concept, instead of testing for honesty and thievery, let's use it to test for customer service, test for smiles, go into a store undercover, and check on the behavior of the staff. So did some research. I wasn't the first company. We weren't the first company to do that, but it was not widespread like it is now. No one heard of mystery shopping back then, but there were companies that did it, did the research, went to the library. No online searches at the time. It was just the microfiche, those little cards and whatnot, and spinning the machines with the backlit displays. Found a couple articles, came up with a business plan. One client led to two, led to 50, 60. So that was the genesis of mystery shopping, which led to merchandising. Once we're in the stores anyway, you know, might as well arrange displays and whatnot. So it all started from the badge and I was going to say badge and gun, but no, badge and handcuffs. That's it.
You know, something really interesting here that I'm curious to learn more about, right? I see the natural transition from being a store detective and then moving into the honesty shopping, as you said. Mm-hmm. But when you came across the idea in business school for why don't we put the focus on customer service here? Right, that seems like it's almost on the opposite side of the equation from, you know, looking for shoplifters and people pocketing money to looking at, you know, the good that is found within a business rather than, you know, nefarious things that might be happening. What do you think led you to be able to make that transition from one side of the equation to the other and really stumble upon this idea for yourself? Of course, you didn't invent the idea, but you did stumble upon it for yourself.
Right.
What do you think led to that?
Well, if I have to take a guess, I think it's basically the fact that I'm really passionate about customer service. The way I give service to my clients now, close to 24 hours a day. I just always was into customer service. I'd be writing complaint letters back in the day before emails when something was not right. I had it in my DNA, like I'm all about customer service. So I think that's probably the genesis between catching thieves and then testing for smiles. I think it was the passion for customer service. It's got to be that.
No, I love this. I find all of the most successful businesses do have a passion for customer service, for humans, because business at the end of the day is done by people, with people, and for people, right? So that focus on people really leads to success. I love that passion that you have and how it really, led you to where you are now. But through your time, this was, we're looking at 30 years ago, a little bit more than that.
Even
right?
more,
A lot has changed for you. You've grown a lot through that time. What do you think were perhaps some of the most significant lessons or, that growth shift moment that you went through that caused the greatest evolution in your business?
Well, I think first of all, it was a slow incline, so to speak. You don't just turn around and go from having one client to 30 clients. There is grit there. There is cold calling. I remember when we decided to grow the business, I went to a local mall, a big mall actually, got that they used to have these little booklets that had all the names of the retailers in the mall, like men's fashion, women's fashion. So we just took one of those and started calling from A to Z, or Z, depending where you are, and placed the call. Hey, can we speak to your director of operations? Can we speak to your regional manager? And one by one, just by cold calling, okay, 2 clients, 3 clients, and it grew from there. It was not a meteoric rise, so to speak, but slow and steady does win the pace, right? Win the race, rather. So that's what we did, and off we go.
So it's been a slow evolution of growth when we look at the number of clients or the financial side of the business. But through your passion for customer service and really being there for your clients, are there any really impactful or memorable lessons that you remember that you might like to leave the audience with that might just come down to, a different way to think about client service or customer service, which allowed you to succeed on the level that you are now?
Well, I think the most important thing in business literally is customer service. Period. Full stop. You don't take care of your customers, someone else will. You may not have the cheapest or best prices. You may not have the most spectacular offering. You may not, there are a million different things that can go wrong, to which you might be subpar a little bit. No one's perfect, right? Some people have better prices, better selection, better items, better locations. But the minute you stop offering amazing customer service, it's all over. So it's just ironic that this is the business that I'm in and this is what I practice every day. I mean, my goal, from my own perspective is you could talk to any one of my clients. And I think about this sometimes. If you were to survey them, hey, who is your best vendor? Who is your best partner? If I don't make that list, or number one even, that's a problem. So I think that is really key in my opinion. The rest will follow, like that's my honest to goodness thought. It all comes down to that. Mm-hmm.
Now, Michael, you were pioneering in an industry that was widely misunderstood, I'm sure, in the beginning, right? A lot of people probably didn't see the value for what it was, and maybe that may still be the case today. But where I'm going with this is that a lot of consultants or service delivery businesses who try and position themselves uniquely, right, are in a situation where the market they're trying to penetrate doesn't really understand the true value of what they do, right? You mentioned in the beginning there was a lot of cold calling, there was a lot of reaching out to people, so a lot of manual work there, but also I'm sure that was met with a lot of natural resistance or dismissal of what it was you were trying to deliver to your clients, right? How did you find the best way to bridge that and to perhaps educate people as to the value of what you do along the way?
It's a great question because mystery shopping does sound a little bit superfluous, in terms of, have a retail store. You got to pay for your rent, your insurance, your, whatever it is, the merchandise. Where does mystery shopping fit into that equation? You would think it's pretty low at the bottom. Where's the ROI on mystery shopping? Great, we got a survey here. Wonderful, we scored an 89%. So the way I always explain it, there is an ROI there. There really is. Because a mystery shopping report at a typical retail store might be $45, $55, whatever it is. With that report in hand, if you bring that, if the store manager brings it to his or her employee and says, hey, let's chat about this. Let's have a little talk. A mystery shopper came in last week. I got a highlighter in my hand. I got the survey in my other hand. Let's go through this question by question. If you could use that to modify behavior, which that's what it's there for. I give an example of a furniture store that we're doing. One of the questions is, were you offered the extended warranty on the item that you purchased? Huge margin on extended warranties, as you probably know. I mean, if they sell a couch or whatever it is and they get to put on that extended warranty, that could be $400, $500, which is almost pure profit. If, let's say, we do a mystery shop and we go through the whole purchasing process, they don't offer that. The clerk never offered the extended warranty. To have that on paper, for the store manager to sit down with that clerk and say, hey, let's go over this. You have to do it. This is not cool. Head office is upset with me. We got to make this happen. Based on that interaction, with the help of the mystery shopping survey, it's not going to do anything in a vacuum. You still need a good store manager. You need a good coach. You need a good mentor. But with that store manager, it is a tool to really push forth the different selling steps. If that particular associate then sells one extended warranty every week, maybe, based on the feedback, based on the in writing, black and white, here you are, well, that $55 mystery shop, like if you just sell one warranty for the next year, it's still got like a 500% ROI. Like that is $55 well spent, So that's the way I look at it. And I think a lot of people on the retail side, they don't understand it. Because at first glance, it's a nice to have program. But you put the numbers to it and it really, ROI can sell the program.
Oh, absolutely. So you're talking to some of the direct value that you provide, and you're
Direct
demonstrating
value, yeah.
it here as well. You've mentioned, mystery shopping, surveys, retailing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it is you actually come in and deliver these things so you can get to that point of showing to your clients, what needs to change, how it can change, and ultimately leading them to this ROI?
Do you mean at the stage where we're already talking to them, or we got to convince them to talk to us?
No. So you're working with a client today. What does it look like hands-on when you go in and you actually help take a company through this mystery shopping process, or the merchandising, or the auditing? When it comes down to the day-to-day, what does the delivery look like for you?
Well, it's interesting because every client is different. At the beginning, it appeared to me that they wanted us to do more. Hey, could you go in and give speeches to the staff? Could you do some training? Can you do, take these surveys and do something with that? Which we still do offer, but I'm finding more and more of our clients, they kind of just want the survey. They want the raw data. They have the regional managers. They have the district managers. With that survey in hand, they take it from there. Not every client is like that, but I am seeing a trend in that direction. You're the mystery shopping supplier. Get us the surveys done. Answered well, accurate, good questions, good replies. And then internally, we'll speak to our training organization and we'll come up with a plan. I'm seeing more of that. It could just be a coincidence, it could be a fluke, but it seems like that is our lane. That is our expertise, our core competence. You want to shop done in Little Rock, Arkansas, or the Yukon in Canada, or you name it, we have presence on the ground. That is what we do. To go in and coach and train and teach, there's been less of that, actually.
So what you're doing is not necessarily, as you said, on the coaching, the teaching side of things, but helping organizations improve their operational efficiency by giving them clarity on things that they might not actually see otherwise. Because I think within many retail operations, an employee is always going to act at their best when there's known supervision, right? So you come in, you're not known, you're not noticed, and you can get real live data on what's actually happening. Could you share maybe a story with us of the true impact that this has had for one of your clients?
Well, it's interesting because I'd like to mention one thing. A lot of clients now, a lot of retail stores, they solicit customer feedback, right? Especially now with the internet. Back in the day, you might see a suggestion box when you walk out of the store, or those little 5x7 cards. Tell us how you feel. Not many people did that. But nowadays with technology, and something we do offer, On the back of a receipt, you have a QR code, scan here, get a free sandwich, let us know your opinion. That's very valuable on one hand. That is the customer's perception of how things went. On the other hand, what we do is more of an operational type of analysis, because the questions are that we don't, it doesn't matter how the mystery shopper felt necessarily. I would prefer a different product mix. Well, I don't like to be greeted when I walk into a store. I want space. That's not what we're doing. Because in retail, consistency is key. Whether you're a restaurant or you're a retail store, when you go to one store on the West Coast, East Coast, Southwest, it should be consistent. So a reply card, a customer reply card, or a suggestion box, or whatever you want to call those feedback mechanisms, they're going to give you different views. I want to be greeted. I don't like to be greeted. I don't want to be escorted to the fitting room. Leave me alone. Other people will say, hey, I was in the fitting room and she gave me a belt to go with the jeans. If the corporate policy is when someone goes to the fitting room with a pair of jeans or a pair of pants, you must bring them a belt, which is great because that increases units per transaction. It increases the sales figures. So a mystery shopper is there not to say what they like, not to say what they want. Was there a belt thrown over the door when I went in? And I think one good example of this was it was my grandmother at the time. She went to, I think it was the Source or Radio Shack or one of those small electronic stores, getting a battery for her hearing aid. And she came, we talked about it after. She was so excited. The service was so good. He gave me the batteries for free. I'm like, okay, I see that. So there you go. Wonderful customer service, right? You're just taking from inventory. But from an operational standpoint, you don't want to give away the merchandise. So that was a moment that clicked, like, okay, she loves it, great service, but operationally, maybe not so good to give away the merchandise. And that helped distinguish in no uncertain terms, in black and white, the difference between an operational mystery shopping audit and customer service feedback, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does, right? The unseen actions, I think, that you can really bring light to, right? And those unseen actions, with the example you even used earlier in terms of the furniture store, right? That can really ultimately drive revenue for such a small fee for what it sounds like that you deliver to your clients as well, right? So this is very profound. I know, like, when it comes to growth, you've clearly grown quite a bit over the last 30 years, give or take, right? Through your customer service, of course, I'm sure that has led to as many consultants achieve great referrals, great business, great relationships. So that's a strategy in itself. But when we look at it, more direct strategy for growth today, client acquisition is one of the biggest drivers for any company out there. What is it that you're doing today to further drive the growth of Premier Service on the client acquisition side?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but it's all word of mouth. I mean, they say that you could determine the success of a company when you have to stop making outbound calls and people come to you. Yeah. And I have to say, we got some big clients now, and each one was a referral. Oh, I worked at the last client and now I'm here. Oh, my friend works there and now I'm here. We heard about you. So I have to say, I'm ashamed to say in a way that our outreach, lead generation, I do nothing on LinkedIn. People know about us, they come to us, and that is how we grow. Maybe it's about time I started actually doing something about it, maybe made a couple more calls, but also bigger isn't always better. That's very important to mention. Mm-hmm. There are bigger mystery shopping companies than ours. There are some public companies. We're not at that stage at all in terms of being a public company. The question is it always better? If I know I have like 4 major clients and 30 smaller ones, we service them well, we have the infrastructure. Would I like to triple that? Oh, it sounds nice on paper. Wonderful, But, with that triple revenue also comes triple the headaches. More lawyers, more accountants, more, government coming at you. I mean, so bigger isn't always better. But yes, I think now would be a time to actually look at lead generation, doing a little bit more than waiting for the emails to come in and say, hey, we heard about you. We want to shop our real estate properties. I was at a meeting earlier today. Bad answer, I know, because it's not a good way to grow a business.
I think here we are. It still sheds more light on the real value that you can gain out of relationships and out of trust and customer service at the end of the day. I am curious to dive into this just a little bit more.
Sure.
Because a lot of consultants have grown their businesses very successfully and are still growing based off of referrals. And I think many times people do wait for those emails, wait for the knock on the door, wait for the phone call, and that can lead to inconsistency and growth. It doesn't sound like that's necessarily your case. People are sending you emails saying, "How can we work together?" But as part of your growth with, referrals in mind, have you taken any more, let's say, intentional referral strategies? Are you waiting? Do people send you enough emails? Or I know that some people are also going out there and saying, "Hey, we've worked together so well. Let me look at who is in your network and let me see if I can ask for an introduction. Let me take a proactive approach to referrals as well." Are you so blessed and privileged that you're just getting the emails, or have you done anything additional to enhance the referral basis?
You know what? The thing with mystery shopping, which is kind of interesting, it's referrals are tough because most of our programs are nationwide. Like this morning, I had a breakfast at the local chamber of commerce. Great place to meet referrals, shake hands. Tons of real estate agents there, small florists, and so forth. Those kind of venues, very difficult because you're not going to find a vice president of a national chain at your local chamber of commerce. So in terms of referrals, it's going to have to be on referrals or, outbound solicitation, if you will. It will come online. That would be the thing to do. And I guess maybe right now we're at a stage, because we just opened in the States 2 years ago, we're seeing interesting growth in the US. Yes, funny thing is, in the US, I didn't want to come in here and grow too fast. Because again, if I can't service the clients, I have a great team that services clients, but if it grows too fast, we have to be careful. So we've been here for 2 years, saw the growth, that's wonderful. But I think we're at a pivot point now where we are going to go a little bit stronger and make those calls, send out those emails for leads, which can be done with AI now as well. Double-edged sword. But I think the time is I said 2026, and here we are. And maybe it's time to start pushing a little bit more, pushing the boundaries, and growing to that next level to, see what we can do in that sense.
Absolutely. Here we are indeed, right? AI is that next growth shift strategy for so many businesses out there today. And you're in the position where you're moving, I don't want to say away from or out of a traditional model of business, because those referrals will always be there.
Sure.
But to enhance the growth further, you're talking about AI now. Where does AI start to come into play for that next growth shift of Premier Service?
Well, I think it's just about, and the way I look at AI in many ways, of course, first of all, it's a wonderful tool. And it's a tool, period, right? It's like a hammer. With a hammer, you can build a house. With a hammer, you can smash someone over the head and kill them, right? Is a hammer good or bad? So it really depends on what you're using it for. From my perspective, I'm much more pro-AI internally than externally, all else being equal. If someone's going to get an email from me or a phone call from me or from my sales team, it's got to be a human. If we're going to go the AI route for an opener of an email, for example, okay, we're going to reach out to all the vice presidents of operations, to all the 1,000 biggest retailers in North America. You don't want to be at your desk typing those up again and again and again, nor do you want to research everybody. I just got a wonderful email from some AI company, and it was really well done. "Hi, Michael, I saw you on this podcast. I love what you said about this. Premier Service looks super interesting." And I was like, this is pretty good. So if that tool is available now, which it sounds like it is, yeah, I think that's the next step. I'd be willing. It would be my voice, the way we talk, our look and feel, but now go find me 300 directors and vice presidents of marketing or HR or loss prevention, whoever runs the mystery shopping program, and let's go. And when the replies come in, do I have a human answer them or AI answer them? Well, we could talk about that. Maybe you could help me with that, because that's where do we bring the humans in? That's the next question.
Yeah, it's keeping the humans in, but
keeping the humans in,
keeping them where it's essential, right? Because those email openers, as you said, sure, maybe that can be automated and done by AI, but it's not trying to manage the whole process with technology.
Exactly.
So you've built your business on relationships, off of trust, off of strong referrals. You're wanting to start incorporating AI now to allow you to continue to focus on the human element in business as well. You also mentioned that, AI is a tool, and like like a hammer that can build a house, or, it can knock someone on the head and be turned into a weapon,
Yeah.
right? AI can also become a compromising feature if it's not used correctly, right? With how it is you're talking about AI now, where do you think AI could start to compromise human relationships as part of business? Is there a line that you would say shouldn't be crossed when it comes to operations and client delivery and using technology rather than continue to keep the human in the equation?
Well, there's no doubt I've already started. I've seen it already. I mean, it's funny because I sent an email last week to my scheduling team, and I asked about, this certain client would like a price reduction. How much do these shops cost us? Like, are they difficult to schedule? What do the mystery shoppers say? Someone wrote back and said, these are the pros, the cons. Someone wrote back, like it was a long email, but it was clearly AI. I knew it was. I even called her out on it afterwards. Hey, nice chatting with you, ChatGPT. So seeing that, and I see more of that creep up, it almost creates a bit of laziness sometimes. That is something that I've noticed. It's the easy way. I don't want to express myself. I don't want to take the time to write this. Let me just prompt it with something very bare, or upload an email chain, an email thread, and let it spit out a reply. I don't think that's cool. That you could just tell. So what I could do is I could take that reply, I'll put it in my chat GPT, and I will answer her. You get two robots going back and forth. I mean, talk about taking the human out of the human element out of things. That's terrible. I mean, and also, when it comes to mystery shopping, the surveys are written by humans, obviously, right? You go shopping, you fill out your report. I see some mystery shoppers using AI there as well. And it's clearly not ready for prime time, because you could spot those questions, those answers a mile away. They're generic sounding. They have M dashes in them, so that wasn't done by a human. It's like, no, this sounds like a robot, and that's something I think we got to be careful of. Any AI we use in our business, it's very slow, just to help us, not to replace humans, not to pretend it's a human, but just to help us along with the more mundane tasks. I found it very successful for that, but it's not ready to be unleashed, or at least maybe it is. Maybe DARPA has that capability, but for what we see in ChatGPT and all those, not quite yet. The human has to be there to look things over.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'm hearing is that, when it comes to AI, efficiency is great, right?
Yeah.
But you can't try and be too efficient, right? Because as soon as you start to use it too much and it becomes clear to that client or that person on the other side of the email, especially with what you just said, I mean, you recognize it immediately.
Yeah.
So the line not to cross is you shouldn't be using it where the relationship is important, right? Because as soon as people start to see that, this is AI, this wasn't coming from Michael, this wasn't coming from David, right? You start to damage that trust. And at that point, once trust is lost, it's very hard to rebuild.
Beyond. And that's why I think internally, there are wonderful uses for it. I could give you two just examples from this week. We did a bunch of exit surveys at a big box store, asking the customers who left. We stationed ourselves at the store with the iPad in hand, asked a bunch of questions. So then we had 500 or 800 different replies from all across. I think it was just Canada, actually. We had all these replies. Okay, we got to analyze the data. Are the customers happy? Are they not? Where are the pain points? That would have taken someone a good two full days of pivot tables and standard deviation analyses to take that Excel sheet of all those 800 replies and put it into an AI app and get back a full report. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. This store is an outlier. Here are some good verbatims that describe how people feel. That is fantastic. I mean, that is a great use of AI. Rewriting your email because you don't know how to express yourself, not a great, use of AI. And there was another one actually where one of our we do a lot of shopping, mystery shopping at real estate, rentals, home, new homes. And one of our clients said, hey, could you give us an industry benchmark? I'd love to know where we stand. And we have about 15 different clients in the retail sector. So normally this would have been, 3-4 days of work. Oh my gosh. Which survey questions are equivalent on his survey versus her survey? How can we match them up? Let's do statistical analysis on that. But instead, we just took all 13 CSV files, all the Excel files. Question 1, question 2, were you greeted? Did you get a business card? Did they overcome your objection? We imported them all, and out came the benchmark. This is how client A scores against the other 14 clients. Executive summary, the full report, tables. I mean, that is fantastic. That just saved a lot of work. So internally, calculations, wonderful. Using it in emails, I don't like that. Just me. Maybe some people love it, but it detracts them from the humanity of it all.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And this is an excellent use case that you just outlined, right? Because in this, what you're doing is you're enhancing the speed of your delivery, the accuracy of it, but you're not replacing the delivery, the human delivery of the AI. You're just allowing yourself to operate at a higher capacity, at a higher speed, and serve your clients better, but you're not using AI to serve your clients, right? It's maintaining that relationship and that interaction that's most important.
Yeah, definitely. Now, look, in the grand scheme of things, humans are going to lose some jobs. That's just the way it is. The paper pushers, the clerical workers. I see it. I follow up on the news. One major bank fired 100 lawyers or a couple hundred lawyers because, and I used to practice law, and I know what it takes to read a leasing agreement. You're billing for 2 days of work. You got to go with the highlighter in hand. You got to pour through it. Now you could just upload it, and the due diligence is done in seconds. You still need someone to oversee it. ChatGPT is not a lawyer. Believe me, I know that. But the clerical work, the simple stuff, there is going to be an issue there. You could see it creeping up. That's the same thing with robots in factories. When the word processors were invented, all those typing pools of people, but hopefully there's enough work, at least for myself, there is enough work for the team. You're doing it faster, more efficiently, but long term, it is a concern. There's no doubt about that.
Well, your story covers entrepreneurial expansion, operational excellence, and the critical importance of humans in business.
Oh, yeah.
For the founders and the growth-minded listeners who are navigating their own growth shift right now, what's the single most important piece of advice that you would leave them with about embracing calculated growth and building a sustainable business?
Well, I think one lesson my father always taught me in business was bigger isn't necessarily better. Okay, that was not that many years ago. I think it was during the Obama years when General Motors went bankrupt, and he said, "Hey, you see, because here we wanted to grow. We were a little bit smaller than we are today, and I was kind of complaining, and he said, bigger isn't always better. GM went bankrupt." And that stuck. That really stuck. So don't just chase the growth, because often that comes at a price. And that's why I said we're tempering our growth. We haven't yet done those outbound emails. We took it slow in the US for a year or two. So don't go at it too quickly. Bigger isn't always better. And also, I think it's very important, number one, above all else, you have to have systems and processes in place before you grow. And that is what I have seen for myself, for other companies. If that's not there, you're in trouble because you're going to be working 23 hours a day. And that goes for any business. If you own a restaurant, it's going very well, the food is fantastic, we're going to open up a second one. Okay, and the head chef or the owner, goes back and forth between two restaurants. You want to get to 20 restaurants, to 40, to 70, to 100 restaurants? You need to have the system, the recipes, the procedures, the protocols. So you take a sound procedure or a group of procedures, however you want to do it. It could be in a Microsoft Word document will do it. There's obviously better things than that. But once you have the procedures and the protocols, the recipes all down pat, then the next thing is, of course, giving great customer service. So you're offering customer service, you have the procedures there, and then you just have to, work on implementing them. And I think that is key. Don't go growing until your procedures are in place. That's the most important thing above all else.
Michael, thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights with the audience today. For anyone listening who might like to learn more about Premier Service, what would be the best way to find you?
I guess our website, Premier Service, Premier service.cx, customer experience. And that will take you there. Shoot me an email, say hello. That's the best place to find me.
Well, thanks for joining us today on The Growth Shift.
Thank you. Much appreciated. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Another powerful conversation on The Growth Shift. If you, like our guests, are ready to turn your expertise into a predictable, scalable growth engine, one that eliminates the grind of prospecting and enhances your high-value relationships, then it's time to connect with Valentix. We are not a marketing agency. We are your strategic growth partner. building intelligent systems that ensure your client acquisition is predictable, not dependent on chance. To see how our AI-powered frameworks can free up your time and fill your calendar with decision makers, visit valentix.io. Thank you for joining us on The Growth Shift. We'll see you next time.